Morning, YouTube. I want to talk about this subject that comes up periodically with just friends and things that I'm talking to. And it is involving this idea of unlawful versus illegal. And I think this is a really, really important topic to talk about. I don't know if this is going to be, if I'm only going to be able to do just one video on this or not, but I think this is a topic that really needs to be talked about because there's an interesting thing here, not with secular people and with Christians. Now, let's start with secular people or Christians that deal in the secular world. There's a march or something that's supposed to be going on by this guy named Adam Kokesh in Washington. I think it's July 4th, and he's going to weapons are illegal there, and he's going to be taking, I don't know, 3,000 people there or something like that, and they're going to uphold what they say is the Constitution. And the District of Columbia is saying, well, we have laws here that are not that go essentially against the Constitution, because the Second Amendment really is supposed to be the supreme law of the land. Why? It's because it's the Constitution. And here this right here dives head deep into the understanding of what is unlawful versus what is illegal. Now, the Constitution, well, first of all, let's understand what law is. And law can be taken from two different things. Now, we can get into the definition of law, but man, this video may be long, or maybe 4 or 5 different videos. But just suffice it to say, and again, do your own research. Lawful, according to our Constitution, is something that is allowed in the Constitution. And if it's unlawful, that means it's something that's disallowed by the Constitution. Why do we use the Constitution as the threshold? Well, the Constitution, we have to have some document that we all agree on, because it's one of these things that we are governed by consent. So what we're really saying is that the people are the boss. Now, if you switch it around and you say the government is the boss, you can easily come up with a whole lot of different things. Like I was listening to C-SPAN this morning, and the lady was talking about, they were commenting on the Benghazi trials and things of that nature. And she was saying, well, she was a Democrat, and she said, well, what people don't understand is there's a lot of things that the government has to keep from the people to keep us safe because of national security concerns and things of that nature. But see, what she doesn't understand, she thinks the government is the authority. It's a very simple, if she just changed her perspective about who the boss is, then she'll find out that her comment is ludicrous and it makes no sense. See, if the people are the boss and the Constitution is the supreme law of the land, then the government cannot impose upon the people what the people do not impose on themselves. But if she believes that the government derives its power from itself, meaning that it derives its power from its own sovereignty of some sort, like it has some empirical sovereignty, then yes, she's absolutely right. The government can do many things that the people are against. But it's the total misunderstanding of who is the boss. And the Constitution says the people are the boss. Okay? So that means that the government cannot create what they call a law, which I call a statute, and even they call it a statute, or they call it so that means if you violate their statute, that is illegal. The question is it unlawful? So the only way you can determine that is you have to go back to who is the lawgiver. Now, I'll get into the biblical part of this, but who is the lawgiver? Well, the lawgiver are the people themselves. And the people themselves are represented through what the Constitution says. See, even Congress is not the lawgiver, meaning that the Congress cannot supersede what is in the Constitution. This is a gross misconception, and a lot of people don't get this. Now, whenever it benefits certain people, they'll use it, because obviously if the government is giving you money or taking things from other people, yeah, you're all for the Congress making a law. if it's in your favor. But as soon as they make something that's not in your favor, then yeah, you scream foul. But it's a gross misunderstanding of who the lawgiver is. The lawgiver are the people themselves. Now it's given through representation through our legislatures, but our legislators cannot circumvent the Constitution. So it's something that's very simple to understand. It's not very difficult. But people, they're not grown-ups, and they're just like little children. Whenever it's something that's not in their favor, then they're more than willing to use force to try to take it from other people. So again, that's how you get into distinguishing the difference between what is unlawful versus what is illegal. Like today, we could be doing something that is totally legal today, meaning that in the world it is legal to do it. Tomorrow, our legislators can get together, create what they call a law, and then it become illegal, meaning that today it was legal, but tomorrow it is illegal. The question is it unlawful? Again, it goes back to the same thing. How does one determine whether something is unlawful? You got to ask yourself, do the people who we call our legislators even have the right to determine that? That is the key. Do they have the right to determine what is lawful and what is unlawful? And so I'm glad that they are doing that march over in Washington, because I believe in what it is he's saying, because I believe that the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. Now, the thing about when you start delegating power, and that's what it is when a representative democracy, you're basically delegating someone else. The problem with it is that people have to ask themselves a question. Does the person who is the lawgiver have when they delegate their power to someone else, does the person who they delegate their power to have more power than the person who delegated it? In America, we see that all the time. That's what these statutes are all about. What they're saying is that the person who gave them the right, now they can supersede that right. Perfect example is the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve was brought in by an act of Congress. Now, Congress cannot oversee the Federal Reserve. People don't understand that is not law. That's not lawful, because that's not possible. The subordinate cannot supersede the power of the person who gave them that power. Again, I understand why people like it, because when it's in your favor, you love it. But when it's not in your favor, obviously you want to change the law. So that's the secular part of it. And in the next video, I'll get into how Christians or believers, and I'll say or, because just because you're a believer doesn't mean you're a Christian. But you'll see how this unlawfulness, as it relates to reading the Bible, and the legality of things that people try to do relative to following the Bible, you'll see how they use, and the powers that be, whether it be pastors or whoever, these authorities, how they use this idea of being legal or illegal, rather, versus what is lawful. I welcome all your comments. Obviously, this is not an exhaustive thought, but if you have any comments, or where you see that I'm wrong, or you want to debate me on this, I'd be happy to. All right, thanks a lot. Bye.